Well, I'm here today at Bristol Shipwrights with my friend Ken, and he and I have been working on this transom framework for the boat we're building, this 270 series Alden schooner. Now, there's a lot to say about transom frameworks, and I certainly can't cover it all. It's just impossible. You know, most of these boats, they're drawn to the outside of the planking. So when you build one, you have to deduct the planking thickness before you frame it or do anything like that or cut molds. And it's the same thing for the transom. The transom was drawn to the outside, the very after part of the boat. So it's drawn to the outside of the plank, and so even on the transom you have to make a deduction to get to the after side of the framework. Well, you know, some people deduct even more than that and they try to get it to the forward side of the framework, but it's not very accurate. So what we try to do is we lofted it to the after side of the framework by making a deduction off the original lines. And then we did something a little bit different. We actually laminated the transom out of real light layers of plywood. So we erected it like that. And the forward part of that plywood laminate is the shape that we're trying to make the transom framework. Although the transom framework is so beveled that forward of that, it's even bigger. So you have to be very careful when you're doing stuff like that you account for all that bevel, because it's got a massive bevel, especially underneath where the counter's coming up to the transom. The counter's coming up like that, the transom's like this. So it's a tremendous bevel on the bottom. It's way more than 45 degrees. I can't even cut it in a ship saw. So we cut it down the top of the framework to like 45 degrees, and then we just have to dub it with an electric plane. But these pieces right here are the very top pieces of the transom framework. That's what we're working on. And you know, it's quite a sizable piece of lumber because, you know, it's got curvature in it this way, it's got curvature in it this way. It just eats up a lot of lumber. So, you know, you expect that when you build a boat like this. It almost seems unjustifiable sometimes, but obviously it's not. We have to have a transom. The boat wouldn't be much good without one. So, you know, this is what we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is cut this piece to the radius of the transom and cut the inside of it to the same radius so that it'll fit up against the plywood. Now, the plywood's got like a little twist in it like this. It's proper, but you know, we're not going to cut that progressive bevel into it with the ship saw. It's almost a waste of time. We'd have to fit it anyhow afterwards. We're going to cut it perfectly 90 degrees to the table. And then we're going to put it in place and scribe it very lightly. It'll have to have, when we're done, 1/8 of an inch cut off one corner of it by scribe, and the 1/8 of an inch probably cut off the other corner of it by scribe, because what it's going to do is going to sit on the two corners and rock back and forth. So we'll shim it up and then scribe it right afterwards. So that's what we're going to do. These patterns, I've got one here and I've got one over on the table saw there, but these patterns are the same patterns we used on the port side. It's just that we refit them a tiny bit to fit the starboard side. And we use the same piece of wood, same pattern. So, you know, this is pretty much it. Off we go. So that pattern fits the curvature of the transom. I just laid it on there, and there's a few considerations here. We're trying to get rid of some of the checking in it, and there's a little soft spot in it over here. So, you know, we've moved it into position of where we want it, and we're going to cut it 2 3/4 of an inch from that line on the other side. So we're in position right there. I'm just going to draw a line right around it. Well, we're kind of rocking back and forth there a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to darken it up so I can see it real good. Now, I can't quite get to the end, so what I'm going to do is just extend this out with something like this. And that's about it right there. So now, we have it right there. So, we put these things aside, and we are ready to cut. Now I'm going to make a line 2 3/4 of an inch from this first cut. I'm just going to use a little combination square and slide it along there and make a pencil mark on the end of it here. I got it set at 2 3/4. So these cuts don't have to be absolutely perfect because we're going to fit it to the transom, and we're also going to smooth up the inside of it and everything. So this is like a preliminary cut, really, is what it is. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. All right, now we're going to make a cut, another cut. All right, well now I've got the second pattern out. This is the pattern that shows you the curvature of the top. It's kind of got a radical curve in it as you see it here, because as you tip it back, it starts to come to the same curvature as the deck timber. So we went through quite a system up there to get the angle on this thing, but we're going to show you how that all works. So basically all I want to do is trace this pattern out, and then I'm going to show it to you. I'll tip it up and show it to you. So Ken's going to trace that on the end of it. We'll make it nice and dark so we can see it. Like that. Okay, hold still. And I'm going to take a plane. This is the same plane that I used up top for a spiling block, actually. So it's the thickness of it that's important to me across here. As long as it's on the same as I took it, then it's proper. So we're just going to extend it out here. Okay. That's where we're going to cut the bottom of it. I'm even going to extend this end a little bit. All right, like that. So now we are going to cut that at 45 degrees like this, but it's not enough of an angle, and we'll have to do some dubbing afterwards. I can't get the saw to get over that far to cut that angle. So we're going to crank it over as much as we can and make the cut, and we'll have to dub it afterwards. Well, now Ken is cranking the saw over to the maximum bevel that we can cut, and it's got a few things down in here around the lower guide that are going to hold us up from getting all the way over to 45, but that doesn't matter to us. So we're going to crank it over as far as we want, and then we're going to make a cut. Now that we've got this piece mostly cut out here, we've got it cut to the shape of the transom in this direction, and we've got the crown in it in this direction. Now, this fits the line pretty much right here, where at this edge of it, right on the line on the transom. But on the inside of it, it's going to have to be cut down to like in here. So we're going to use an electric plane to do it, because I couldn't get the saw to get over that far. And you know, that's no problem at all. We're going to draw a line right in here with a marking gauge that we've got up top, and I'll show you how to go about that. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to fit it in place right where it belongs. And then, like I said, this is just a regular cut 90 degrees to the table of the saw. So what we want to do is we want to twist this just the tiniest little bit. And I could have cut that into it with the bandsaw, but it really isn't worth it. It's too easy to shape it. It's too easy to get this angle, all those kind of things with a plane. It just makes it easy, because no matter what I did to it right here, when I take it up top, I'm going to have to fit it again. So, you know, that little bit of a twist in the angle, that's no big deal. What we're going to do is just going to bear on one corner and bear on the other corner, and we'll shim it a little bit. I just take a chisel and make a little scribe line in it. And let me show you how that's done. And that cut line from the corner of the chisel is easier for me to follow by far than a pencil line. So what we did was, it's got, like I say, a little twist in it. So we shimmed up that corner. This corner doesn't have a shim in it, but it's up. So when I scribe it at the top and the bottom, it'll come out right. We just go like that. That's close enough right there. See? I mean, it's close. We'll be all right. Now we're going to take it out and we're going to plane that little bit of a twist in it, get it to fit against here, and then we're going to keep it on its line up here on the transom. We have a marking gauge we're going to use in order to mark the inside of it right here. And then we'll take it down and electric plane it to that line. So that's pretty much what we're up to right there. All right. Well, we've made quite a few cuts on it. I just cut the bottom of it to shape right here. That's just 90 degrees to the face of it. And then we put it in place. And we put a little scribe line right along here with a chisel. I have to cut that with electric plane from that line to nothing on the other side. And then on this side, I'm going to cut it, do the same thing from here to nothing on the other side. So that will make it fit a little bit better. I wouldn't be surprised if it needs one little scribing or put it in place and just take a look at it. And we might decide, well, we'll take a little here, a little there, but it's pretty close right now. Now, I've got my little electric plane here. It's got all kinds of power, and we're going to take care of business. So we're planing it across at this point, and it's just to get that crown out of the very middle of it right there so it doesn't rock around when we're fitting it. I did that with the electric plane, but I just didn't get perfectly accurate, and I didn't try to get it down as far as it needed to be. So we haven't made any mistakes, and hopefully we won't. Rock it. All right, it's on a spot right here, right? Okay, let me put a little pencil mark in there. That's all. Ooh, that looks pretty good in there. Okay, we got a little lump to take out. Our second scribing here. No embarrassment whatsoever. Let's turn it around this way. There we go. Like that, anything like that. Let's try that. To me, you can come past the line. Keep coming. All right, wait a minute. All right, that's better. That's very close. I could do a touch more. I'm going to do a touch more. You know, I don't really care how many times I have to do something like this. I want it to come out right, and I'm not stopping until it does. One more time. Oh, baby. Now you're talking. All right, come to me a touch. All right. That's good. Now what's it rocking around on? Anything?
I think it's a little high.
Yeah, push down on it like that. Okay, it's got a little crown in it right here too. And like I said, I'm planing this twist in it. And I could have sewn it in there, but we'd have had to fit it anyhow. So this is the way to go right here. Okay, let's try it again. It's time to try it again. It's good. You know what? I'm going to take some right here too. I'm just not going to compromise. I want to make it fit. So I'm going to take a little right off of here. Get a lump in that ply right there. Just like that. All right. Now we're talking.
Yep.
Okay, that's that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little tiny nail and we're going to tack it in place right there. And that just keeps it from sliding downhill. All right, now what I'm going to do right here with a magic marker, I'm just going to draw a line on the top of that. Now this isn't a scribing, but it's just a little black magic marker line on the very top of that thing like that, so that when I plane it down to a line that's going to be down in here, I just won't take that black line away. We have, forward of this, we have a temporary deck timber in place right there. It's not really a deck timber at all, it's just the shape of the deck timber. Right there in place. We marked it at the shear line on those last two frames. We've got it clamped to the last two frames. So that's the position at the top of the deck timbers. So what we've got here now is this little marking gauge. This little point right here sits right on the black line, like so. Now it's clearanced right here, so I can't make a mark. So what I have to do is take a little piece of wood like this. You see, now I've got Ken holding that thing up straight so I don't have any problems. And then I'm going to reach right in here and make a mark right there. And that's where we want it, right there. This one's where we want it, right there. Let's move over here. You don't have to have them awfully close together, but now it's 90 degrees to the face of the transom here. That's the way we want to do it, just like that. Okay. We'll be all right with, well, let me stick one right there. What the hell? That's so close to the other one. Doesn't even matter. All right. That's good enough. Right there. Okay. So that was our little marking gauge, and we've got some marks in the inside right here. So what we're going to do is take it down below and connect those marks up with a batten and put a nice heavy pencil line on it. I'll be able to see that pencil line, and I'll be able to see this black line right here, because I'm going to be looking at it from the top down there like that. So I don't want to take any of the black line, but I want to sneak right up close to it, and I'm going to sneak right up close to this line once I've drawn it in there with an electric plane only. And after that, it's 2 3/4 of an inch thick right now. So we're going to end up thinning the thing down to maybe 2.5 inches or something like that. So, but that's just one more little thing to do. Let's take this down, connect up our lines, and get this bevel right. All right, we've come back down below here, and we have those marks that we made with the marking gauge. So what we're going to do is tack a little batten along these marks, just so we can draw a line here. And I'm going to tack it above or below the marks like this, just so we can see it when we draw a pencil line on there. Okay, that's good. I don't need to nail it at every mark if it's going through the way it's supposed to, like that. And now, okay, that one's on the line. I get my pencil. This one's on the line right here. We're set to go. And now I'm just going to make it nice and dark so I can see it. Done. Let's pull these out. Now, we've got a little setup here. It doesn't look like much, but it's doing the trick. We're going to set that just like that. And I'm going to plane it from here to here with an electric plane. That's the bevel that we need on it to match the underside of the decking. And it seems like it would be an awful lot of work, but for a little plane like this, it's almost none. It really works great. And off we go. Well, that pretty much takes care of it for today. We're going to bring it back up there and set it in place and just see how well marking gauge sits on the top as if it were decking. And I know it's going to work out just right because we've come right along the line the way we belong. So we got a few more cuts, and you know, I think that I'm pretty much done for the day. I'm going to put this in place and fit the knee in between the two and get it all fastened in on the next video. So, like I say, I've had enough for one day, so I'm going fishing.